Hi, I'm Sam, and I'm here with Usama for Bits. So, Usama, I heard you were grabbing coffee with an industry peer recently, actually, one of our competition. And he mentioned a term that's been stuck in your head. What is it?
Hello, Sam. Hello, everyone. We do compete, but we also face the same challenges. And so we meet for coffee and exchange ideas. And this time around, he said something I would deem profound, for me at least. And he said, effortless experience. And his theory is that for the next 3, 4, 5 years, companies are going to focus on effortless experience because that's what customers want. Not necessarily more features, but an effortless experience.
That makes me think a lot about this book that I've read on UI UX design called Don't Make Me Think. The core idea is basically the second a user has to stop and ask, how do I do this? How does this work? Then you've already failed. You've added to their mental load.
I believe a lot of publications and research have shown that when the users are interacting with a certain technology, if they have to follow certain steps that continuously go into other steps, that they get disenchanted and basically close out of the application very quickly.
So let's take shopping, for example. If I need to buy a new toaster, I have to get my keys, drive to the store, hope it's in stock, and then most of the time I'll stand in the store looking up reviews on my phone anyway. And so what Amazon does is they have the reviews, payment, everything all in one click. They don't just sell you the toaster, they sell you the lack of effort in finding one.
Exactly, Sam. Here, Amazon is making the purchasing experience to be easy, and therefore you buy. And same thing goes with, for instance, work. If you remove barriers to work, then productivity goes up.
But on that same note, I actually recently canceled my Amazon Prime. And mostly it's because I felt like it was making things too easy for me. And it was like a little antisocial, it felt. If everything comes to my door with zero friction, I don't even ever interact with the world. I don't talk to a cashier, I don't talk to people at the store. I feel like stuff like that can turn us into the people from Wall-E.
You mean the ones in the hover chairs looking at screens?
Yes, let me pull up a clip of that for those who don't know.
Definitely funny, but I do believe that there's a darker side to it, which is skill atrophy, because we stop learning how to navigate challenges. In the engineering, for instance, field, friction leads to innovation, friction leads to transformation. So maybe we need to distinguish between good friction and bad friction, more so than saying everything should be frictionless.
Okay. Well, can you give us an example of bad friction then?
Well, for me, bad friction was when, for instance, I was in Italy at a supermarket and I kind of didn't understand some of the words being said by the cashier. And basically, she was asking me if I wanted a bag that she would charge me money for. And I said no. So here's all my items that have been scanned, but I don't have a bag. So now I asked her for a bag, and she's like, okay, well, in Italian, she would tell me, well, you should have told me before, but I didn't understand it. And I would say that that was a bad friction experience. Similar, for instance, at airports, if you have your luggage is heavy, and now they have to charge you extra, or you're thinking you're going to take it on your flight, but it's too big. I would say that that is a bad friction experience.
Yeah, it makes sense that we'd want to avoid friction of that kind, but I guess some friction can be beneficial. What would be meaningful friction?
What comes to mind for me for good friction would be like resistance training at the gym. Whether I'm on the treadmill and I make it a 1 or 2 degree uphill, or on the bike or weights, etc. I would consider that to be good friction. Another thing would be when we huddle in a meeting with other team members and we're trying to solve problems together. I mean, the debate enriches the conversation. It gives us a lot more insight into things as different people see it. And that in itself allows us to come up with solutions that are not easy sometimes, but they're necessary.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like we kind of have to find a middle ground where we eliminate cumbersome friction, but we kind of keep the kind that'll help us grow.
I would agree with that. Me reflecting on my career and my life, I learned from adversity. I learned from facing challenges. I learned from the hard stuff. I didn't really learn much from the effortless or easy stuff. And building grit requires adversity. So without that, I don't know if I would have started a business. I don't know if I would have continued or dealt with difficult issues that I've dealt with through life. And I think it's necessary. I absolutely believe it's necessary.
Thank you so much, Usama. And thanks to those listening. We'll see you next time on Bits.